Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS. Let's get to the news. Hey Browns fans, you know, every NFL offseason always brings a mix of excitement, speculation, and sometimes surprises. But this year, there's a particular story that's been catching a lot of attention around Cleveland and across the league. And no, it's not just about the usual roster moves or draft picks. It's about a young quarterback who's been making waves in the preseason, Shedor Sanders. That's right, the same Shedor Sanders who just lit up the field in his debut, turning heads with his impressive performance. It's rare to see a rookie so quickly command attention, especially at the quarterback position, which is so crucial in today's NFL. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Is this the beginning of a new era for Cleveland? Well, that's what makes this story so intriguing. Because even though it looks like the Browns might hold on to Sanders, the landscape of NFL quarterback situations is ever-changing, and Cleveland isn't immune to that reality. The fact is, Cleveland has a roster full of talented quarterbacks, including Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Joe Flacco, all of whom are vying for that starting role. And while the team's current trajectory seems to suggest they might stick with Sanders moving forward, the NFL has shown us time and time again that nothing is set in stone. What makes the Sanders situation even more interesting is the potential for the Browns to part ways with him before the 2025 season. Why? Because the team has a history of being somewhat cautious, or maybe indecisive, when it comes to making the right offensive scheme decisions. They've drafted talented players, but sometimes their moves haven't always aligned perfectly with their long-term strategy. Given Sanders' impressive preseason debut, it's understandable that Cleveland fans are excited. But at the same time, the NFL's business side means that the Browns could consider trading him to a team that desperately needs a quarterback or sees his potential as a future starter. Sanders, of course, was drafted out of Colorado, a player many saw as an intriguing prospect with a lot of upside. His athleticism, arm talent, and ability to make plays on the run remind many fans of some of the more dynamic quarterbacks in the league. And even if he continues to impress throughout the preseason, the Browns might decide that his value is too high to keep. They could use that to bring in a better fit for their offensive system, or simply to bolster their draft capital or roster depth. And let's not forget, the NFL is a league where young quarterbacks are often traded early in their careers, sometimes before they get a real shot to develop. The Browns could be in a position to maximize Sanders' value by trading him to a team that's in need of a quarterback, teams that are looking to rebuild, or perhaps want a fresh start with a young signal caller who has shown flashes of brilliance. It's not out of the realm of possibility that Sanders could find himself wearing a different jersey before the 2025 season kicks off, even if he's been exceptional in the preseason. Now, this situation opens up a lot of questions. Where could Sanders end up? The league is full of teams that might be interested in his skill set. The Carolina Panthers, for example, are already moving forward with Bryce Young, but if things don't go as planned for Young, if he struggles to find consistency, who's to say the Panthers wouldn't consider a trade or a change? Sanders could bring a different dynamic to an offense that's looking for a spark, perhaps with his dual threat ability and his arm strength. He could be a perfect fit in a team that values mobility and improvisation. Think about the New Orleans Saints. They've been searching for stability at quarterback ever since the Drew Brees era ended, and right now, Tyler Show and Spencer Rattler haven't quite lived up to expectations. The Saints could be an ideal landing spot for Sanders if they decide to rebuild and find a younger, more dynamic quarterback to lead their offense. Mickey Loomis, their general manager, might look at Sanders and see a player with untapped potential that could finally give them that reliable starter they've been missing. And then there are the Los Angeles Chargers. They already have Justin Herbert, one of the league's top quarterbacks, but depth always matters in the NFL. Sanders, even if he's not looking to start immediately, could serve as a valuable backup or a future starter if Herbert were to face injuries, or if the Chargers decide to develop a different style of quarterback. Sanders' athleticism and playmaking ability could fit nicely into Los Angeles' offense, especially considering how they've been experimenting with different schemes in recent years. The Dallas Cowboys are another team that might be keeping an eye on Sanders. Dak Prescott is still the man in Dallas, but if the team starts to have doubts, or if Prescott hits a rough patch, having a talented young quarterback like Sanders waiting in the wings could be a smart move. The Cowboys have a history of making strategic moves at the quarterback position, and Sanders could be viewed as a high-upside backup or even a potential starter down the line. It's worth noting that the Cowboys' first preseason game didn't exactly inspire confidence in their backup options, so bringing in someone like Sanders would make a lot of sense from a roster-building perspective. Now, it's important to emphasize that Sanders' future isn't just about where he fits now, but also about his development. He's still a rookie, after all, and the NFL is a tough league. But if he continues to show flashes of brilliance, his trade value could skyrocket, and teams will be eager to bring him on board. His athleticism, combined with his arm talent, makes him a tantalizing prospect for teams that want a dual-threat quarterback who can create plays out of nothing. The Browns have a lot to consider, and their decision on Sanders could shape their quarterback strategy for years to come. Meanwhile, Cleveland fans should be excited about the potential that Sanders displayed in his debut. It's clear he has the talent and the mindset to succeed at this level. The preseason is a small sample size, but it's enough to get fans dreaming about what could be. Will he be the future of the Browns' quarterback room, or will the team decide to part ways and look for other options? Only time will tell, but what's certain is that Sanders has already made a significant impression. And let's not forget, this whole story is happening in the context of a Browns team that has been building a competitive roster for the past few seasons. They've invested in a strong defense, a talented offensive line, and skilled position players who can make plays. Adding a quarterback like Sanders, whether in Cleveland or elsewhere, could be the missing piece that pushes them over the edge in a highly competitive AFC North. That division is always tough. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, they all have solid teams, but the Browns are looking to take that next step, and a young, dynamic quarterback could be the key. So, Browns fans, keep your eyes on this story. Sanders' performance in the preseason has put him on the radar, but the NFL is unpredictable, and moves are made quickly. Whether he stays in Cleveland or finds himself in a new city, his journey is just beginning. The team's management will have some tough decisions to make in the coming weeks, balancing development, team needs, and future potential. The AFC North is watching, and so are the fans across the league. This is the kind of storyline that keeps us all hooked: young talent, high stakes, and the ever-present quest for that elusive Super Bowl. Cleveland is no stranger to big moments, and if Sanders continues to develop, he might just be a part of their next great chapter. So, Browns fans, buckle up and stay tuned, because the next few weeks could bring some surprises that will shape the future of your team for years to come. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Cleveland Browns news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Now, as we look ahead, the Cleveland Browns are in a very interesting position. They have a young quarterback with immense potential, and they also have a roster capable of competing at a high level. The key will be how they handle Sanders' development, whether they see him as their future or as a trade chip that can bring in other pieces. It's a delicate balancing act, but one that could pay off big time if managed wisely. The NFL offseason has always been about these stories: young players emerging, teams making strategic moves, and fans dreaming of glory. For Browns fans, the story of Sanders is just beginning, and it's one that could define the franchise's direction for the next decade.